Everyone. So welcome to our final career speaker series of the fall semester. My name is Claude and I am the outreach coordinator and advisor for the computer information technology and cloud computing programs. Oops, click it and I'll lose my speech. Here at Delgado Community College, I'm also the host for this event. So today, I am joined by Mary Legendre, who is Director of Product at Revelry Labs. Mary is a seasoned technologist with 8 years of experience in the field. Her experience spans UX design, QA engineering, and agile product management. She revels in working with her teams to identify and solve user needs in a clear and effective manner. And today she has taken time out of her busy schedule to be talking about her career journey, as well as about an apprenticeship can't talk today, opportunity that students may apply to if they feel they are a fit, which is awesome. Now, before I turn this over to Mary, though, I just want to tell everyone exactly what the Career Speaker Series is and go over a few ground rules. So, and also let in some people who are coming in, which gives me a convenient pause. Oops. There we go. All right. So hello, newly incoming people as well. Just going over some ground rules. So for those who are new or have forgotten, it's been like a month. The Career Speaker Series is a monthly series of guest presentations from industry professionals in the IT and related fields to just talk about what it is that they actually do, right? How they got in their careers and how you can too. We put these on to demystify tech careers and opportunities in the world for all students, faculty, and staff at Delgado, as well as members of the community, because technology is all around us. And, we want to clear up some of those misconceptions that nobody thinks, oh, all you can do is go sit in a little server closet in the dark all day. There are so many more jobs than just that. So this is for you guys. We will have some time for Q&A built into the presentation, as well as at the end. So I ask everyone to please mute yourself until invited for questions, so that there's no like crunching of chips or anything in the background. Always kind of awkward. You can also feel free, if you're not a big talker or you're in a noisy environment or you just don't want to put your voice out there, to drop your questions in the chat and I will get them to our speaker. Finally, and then I will be done. If you are having fun today, and we hope that you are, we encourage anyone watching to shout out about it on social media with the hashtag #TheOtherCSS, and be sure to add us at Delgado IT Pro on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and that is also in the chat. I am now done talking. I will turn this over to Mary. Mary, take it away.
What a wonderful introduction, Claude. Thank you. Yeah, I love that the series is demystifying tech because it is such a mystical thing, right? It's ever expanding. There's always new, I would say, job titles being added to the fields. There's always new technologies. It's kind of mystical, but also wonderful. So I'm excited to talk to y'all about what I do over at Revelry and how I got there. So I'll start sharing my screen. Everyone see? Cool. So yes, my name's Mary Legendre. I am a director of product over at Revelry, and I've been working there for about 5.5 years now. So it's in my blood. That's what I like to say. It's a great place to work. I'd like to tell you a bit about me. So I'm from New Orleans, born and raised. I was a freshman at Sacred Heart when Katrina hit, and we got 7.5 feet of water in our Lakeview home. Forever changed my life, and it was a blessing to witness how the city came together after Katrina, and I still believe that we're in that renaissance of New Orleans. So let's see, my first interaction with coding was MySpace. So HTML, do y'all remember MySpace? Did anyone have a MySpace page? I don't really see faces, but I bet some of y'all did.
I had a MySpace page.
Did you customize your theme?
I'm sorry, can you hear me? I'm on the audio.
I can, yeah. I said, did you customize your theme with HTML?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, once I realized what I could code, like those early HTMLs and like CSS things that you could kind of put into there, yeah, I went crazy with it. Everything that I could tweak, I did.
It's empowering, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was, I bet, a lot of our first experience with code. Definitely mine. Let's see. So I worked at Commander's Palace for a while, for about 6 months. And during that time, my childhood crush came in, Paul Walker, the Fast and the Furious, and I taught him how to peel a crawfish. So I thought that was very appropriate. And then I live, near City Park, near the fairgrounds, and I do believe that Jazz Fest will make you a happier person. Walking into Jazz Fest is like walking into New Orleans Disney World. So I highly recommend if you haven't been. Let's see. All right, so I'd love to go into a bit about Revelry. Revelry Labs. We go by Revelry for short. So we've got a lot of stuff going on over at Revelry. I am specifically on our product services team, but we also have a venture fund and a startup studio. A venture fund helps entrepreneurs finance, build, and scale their businesses. So if you've got a startup and you need funding, that's where you go. You go to a venture fund. And we also have a startup studio. So if you have a big idea and you're not sure how to start, or maybe you're totally sure that you want to start it, but you need support doing that, that's what our startup studio does for folks, both within Revelry and outside of Revelry. Does anyone have any questions about those two parts of our business? Okay, cool. Let's move on to product services. So product services team is a place where, let's say you're an entrepreneur or you have an existing business and you'd like to either build an app for your business idea, or you want to make your business function just that much better through technology. That's where our product services team comes in. We've got product managers, the product department. We've got designers, UX designers, visual designers, designers of all shapes and sizes, and lots of engineers there to help you accomplish those goals. So, as I said, I'm director of product, short for product management. I'd love to tell you all about what product management is. So in a nutshell, it's collaborating with product stakeholders, designers, engineers, marketing, and sales all day long. We're always talking. We use Slack. So our days start with a stand up in the morning. This is an agile technique where everyone who's on a given project will come and tell us what they did yesterday, what they're doing today, and what any blockers are. Think of it like a huddle in football, but for the day ahead, to talk through anything that's blocking them from accomplishing our goals on the project that day. That's the first interaction that we usually have during the day, but then we've got a Slack channel. And does everyone know what Slack is? It's like a messaging program similar to Microsoft Teams or Google Chat, but it's awesome. Anyway, so after stand up, we use the project channel to talk through any sorts of issues that come up during the day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through the chat. Sometimes we just hop on a call over Zoom and we pair together. So pairing is a huge part of collaboration at Revelry and in product development in general. Does everyone know what pair programming is, or does anyone want me to explain that?
Yeah, if you can explain it, that would be perfect.
Yeah, so pair programming is essentially what we're doing now. Well, a little different, but sharing your screen and working through problems together via screen share and voice chat. So we like to use the rubber duck analogy. And sometimes pairing is working through problems together. Sometimes pairing is just having someone sitting there that you can bounce ideas off of. And that's like the rubber duck analogy, where you've got a rubber duck sitting on your desk and you can just kind of talk. Sounds crazy, but it's a real thing, I promise. Where you can just talk to the rubber duck and kind of be able to vocalize your problems out loud rather than staying in your head.
Not to interrupt, but I get back on audio, MySpace girl. Yeah, I think everyone might have a Muses rubber duck somewhere in their house. So that's a great analogy. I wanted to mention I do have Slack, and like the Zoom, the pairing programming thing. Do you guys do that through just like a Zoom share screen as well?
Yeah, Zoom usually, but Slack also has this cool new feature called a huddle, where you can start a huddle for a certain project channel, and that will start up essentially the same thing as a Zoom chat within Slack, or a Zoom call within Slack. But we usually use Zoom.
Okay.
I have like a little.
Was there.
Yeah. I have a shortcut that I use where it's just a keyboard shortcut and it automatically pastes in my Zoom link. So it's really easy to just get someone on a Zoom call and give them the information.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks. So let's go on to understanding your users through interviews, research, and product data insights. That is a huge part of our job. So we conduct interviews maybe at the beginning of the project to understand, usually at the beginning of the project, to understand our users' problems. Users are defined by user personas. So for any given app, you may have, or app or product or website, you may have multiple users with different personas using the product. So you want to identify who those personas are. You could have, let's say you're working on a health system. You could have a laboratory user as a persona. You could have a someone who is going in to get tested as a persona, for instance, a COVID test, and it goes on and on, right? So if this product, it's just about who this product is facing and serving and identifying those personas, and then interviewing those people to identify what pain points they have with the problem that you're trying to solve with your product. Then research. Interviews go into research, but you could also research different data sets from third-party vendors. So maybe not interviewing users directly, but getting third-party data to understand those types of users. And then product data insights are metrics that you collect from your product, from user behavior. So Google Analytics is a really good example of that, where you can track user behavior on a certain website. Does anyone have any questions about these points? Cool. So then you get into ideating on solutions and continuously testing product solutions and working with those same users to test those solutions that you've designed for the problems identified in your research. And then once you have a tested solution that you feel confident about, You want to make sure everyone on the project team is aligned on your priorities and goals for delivering that solution and pushing it out into the wild. And serving as a leader, you know, you have to be a figurehead for the project in terms of blockers. If someone has a blocker, they want to be able to reach out to their product manager. If you have a team member who is, you know, having a bad day and they don't know how to move forward on a problem and they don't even know where to begin, sometimes just serving as that person that you can talk to about that and helping guide them is really beneficial for unblocking that path. Even if you're not fully solving it, you're just showing them, oh, well, why don't you go and post in this channel and ask for some help? And it's just kind of serving as that eagle with the eagle eyes view of what is going on in the project and making sure you're guiding people in the right direction. So I also wanted to say this. Glassdoor ranks product manager as the #3 best job in the United States. That's below Java developer and data scientist. So it's a very, very much in demand job. And I would say, I haven't looked at the figures in the past couple of months, but from what I can tell, people are mostly happy in this job. I know I am, but people love doing this work. So I feel very grateful to be in this role.
I had a couple quick questions about the first part. Is Slack kind of the industry standard, or because we use for our study groups in all my classes, we use Teams, and I'm not sure, is there a difference? Is there a big difference between Slack and Teams, or is Slack just what you guys chose because somebody was familiar with it?
I would say both are industry standards. So it depends on your needs. More of our corporate partners have used Microsoft Teams. Slack is, I would say it's very comparable to Microsoft Teams.
Okay. And then on the personas, who usually creates the persona? Is that something that the client brings to you, or do you generate that for the client?
Both. So
okay.
It depends. They may have already done that research, or they want us to do that for them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So these are some of my favorite things about product. And I hope it's okay. I'm just kind of reading off of this because this is what I wrote and how I feel. So our job is people-centered. We foster empathizing with our users and valuing all stakeholder insights. So yeah, I work with people all day long. I did do the engineering role for a while and I love engineering. However, I was craving more interaction with people, more direct face-to-face contact, which with pair programming and our style at Revelry, we get a lot of as engineers, don't get me wrong. But I adore how much I'm talking to people, working through problems, and serving as the face for our project. So let's see, what else do I want to go into? Fear is the mind killer. That's a good one. So has anyone seen Dune recently? I haven't seen the new one, so I don't know if this is in it. But the original, the David Lynch one, did have fear is the mind killer as a main slogan in it. And what that means is that fear, when you're afraid or just when you're afraid of failing or being wrong or sounding stupid, it kills any kind of empowerment that you have, right? So it's really hard to move forward. And we have a lot of those fears that come up in software development. And as a product manager, it is our job to dispel those fears. And that, again, is really empowering. So I love that about working in product. Let's see. Product management is the method to the madness. We excel at bringing order to chaos. I think I've covered that. I love process. There's a difference between project management and product management. There is order and process to both of those things. At Revelry, we do project management alongside product management. So I do a lot of project management. So it's nice to just know that things are orderly and you come to work and things aren't a mess and you're not scrambling around because we've got these processes to go by, specifically our lean agile process at Revelry. Does everyone know what agile is? Probably not everyone. So brief overview.
Yeah, I was going to jump in. It's audio. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Miranda. If that helps when I jump in on audio.
I'm Miranda.
Yeah. Hi. We just started actually offering, it looks like, that class here at DCC. But what I'm familiar with is it's a specific style, like typically seen with like startup, which is, it's become kind of almost like a cult following, not to like use that verbiage per se, but it is just like, it is kind of how tech has been built in a way. It is a system where you're just kind of like, the structure is to kind of keep moving. It reminds me of kind of like 8-week school programs where you just kind of like keep going and then like to the goal. So that's what I know of it, just as a like civilian.
Yes, that was a good overview. Some of the more nuanced aspects to agile include sprints. So having sprints, working on a week by week or a 2-week by 2-week basis to accomplish a goal together as a team. Stand-ups, as I talked about earlier, are part of agile development. So if you've heard of waterfall development, that's where you spec out every aspect of a product that you want to launch beforehand. And you have, these large grand scale plans that you want to build out in a certain amount of time. And then you start building. And once you've built, then you test it and then you launch it. Agile is a little different in that we start with the most valuable piece of functionality and we ship. So rather than planning out the entire system, we plan out the most valuable product, MVP, and we build around that. And every sprint, we deliver a shippable, usable piece of functionality. So we're launching to production as soon as possible. We're pushing this product out in the world as soon as possible, not once it's 100% perfect. And then we're testing as we go, improving as we go, iterating as we go. Yeah, I think that's a good overview for now. Another thing is that we practice both science and art. So there is a method to the madness, right? That would be the science, but there's a lot of creativity that comes into play as a product manager. You have to create solutions. You have to find ways to solve problems, and that can be an art in itself. course, there's going to be a science to understanding, oh, we should use this tool for this problem. But oftentimes, rather than working with just like one solution, you've got a whole set of paintbrushes to work with, and choosing that and figuring out how you want to design and design a solution is an art. Yeah, there's always another problem that can be solved, multiple ways to solve it. That kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. Does anyone have any questions about what we just spoke about?
So I have one for you about your fear is the mind killer.
Great.
So how, as an overarching thing, how do you conquer that fear of failure? Just because I think of students, their whole career is defined by you pass or you fail in the school system. So, and that's from when you're a kid. So how do you kind of reshift that thinking, especially if you have new entry-level employees coming into it, maybe are coming out of college systems, and kind of reshaping that way of thinking? And also, how do you foster a generally like that no fear zone among coworkers or even, I guess, clients who are coming in with, we need this solved?
Well, I go into that a little bit later and a little bit more in depth later, but I'd love to answer that now because it's a huge part of who I am and who we are at Revelry. Has anyone heard of Brene Brown? She is a fear researcher. She's based out of Houston, I think. But she's got a couple of really great books out there. I'd highly recommend them. And she has done tons and tons of research and has identified the one trait that defines fearlessness. So the more you are of this one thing, the more fearless you're going to be. And that's vulnerability. So being able to be vulnerable is equivalent to being able to be fearless. Vulnerability can be defined as, you're willing to expose who you are as you are with no facades, no masks, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, vulnerability, right? So that's a good place to start, is just knowing that you can express yourself and not shaming yourself for, for not knowing, for being new, knowing where you are at any given point in time, right? You just started a new job, knowing that you're new to this job. You've got some learning to do. There are people there to support you. Lean on your support is another thing I would say. So find people that support you, know who your supporters are in your workplace or your job or in life in general, and lean on them. We're here together. So yeah. Anything else, guys? Keep going. All right. So I'd like to go into my path to product. This is one of my favorite sayings: believe you can, and you're halfway there. It's actually written on my checkbook. I am a cheese ball. So I took a rather unique path to product and tech in general. I went to university for only a year at Loyola. I thought I was going to go into, I wanted to work at the World Health Organization and work in infectious diseases, which would have been very interesting if I had taken that path and 2020 had come along. But after a year, my parents asked me to pay for subsequent years, and that is a lot to take on. So I took a semester off to think about it, but I'm not really one to sit around and twiddle my thumbs. So I found something to do, and I wanted to get involved in business administration in the real world. So I got a job as an executive assistant executive assistant, excuse me, helping with day-to-day business needs, scheduling, doing business and marketing plans, making sales proposals in like, not Photoshop, but one of those design programs, managing licenses and permits for businesses, and doing new product research for businesses. New product research, not in the tech sense, but for instance, one of the businesses I worked with was a video surveillance company. So researching new cameras and video surveillance systems, that kind of thing, which is a really good base for me, just understanding how business works in general, understanding accounting, sales, marketing. It gave me a good lay of the land to start with. And during that time, I also had a job as a server at Commanders and a couple of other places. So I had a couple of jobs at the time. And that was really good experience because it gave me customer service experience. It helped my empathy for customers and really gave me a service mentality, customer-centric mentality. I also was very interested in the movie scene. So in 2011, 2012, the movie scene in New Orleans was blowing up. And there were all kinds of postings on Facebook that were for extras on this movie set. I was like, that could be really fun. Like, why not? I'll go make a couple $100. So I signed up for a couple of, I was probably on like 5 sets as an extra. And while I was on one of those sets, I met someone who was like super passionate about starting a film festival. And that was really interesting to me. So I was like, yeah, I'll help. You needed help. So I started this film festival with this person that I met on a movie set, and it sold out. And we partnered with a movie magazine in town. It's called Scene Magazine. The guy who owns Hollywood Trucks started Scene, and we partnered together on a New Year's party after the film festival, and that sold out. And it was like this massive event, and we got a lot of press, and it was awesome. I got a lot of experience advertising, going and talking to like politicians in Baton Rouge, like promoting this film festival, because it was a Louisiana film festival for Louisiana films. And then I got to work with a lot of filmmakers. It was a great experience, and it gave me a lot of confidence, seeing what I was capable of doing. So also during that time, so I kind of moved from this executive assistant role into doing this film festival, and that went on for a couple of years. And while I was doing the film festival, I was building their website on Squarespace. And I found myself getting pretty frustrated with the limitations and wanting to know how I could customize the website more. And I was into it. I was really into it. Like, I was excited about it. It wasn't frustrating when I figured out how to customize it. It's exciting. So around that time, I want to say 2013, I think. Yeah, 2013 is when all of those coding websites started coming out. So Team Treehouse, I'm checking the time. We're good on time, right? Claude, cool. So Team Treehouse, Code School, there are all kinds of sites just popping up, teaching people how to code online in like fun, interactive ways. So I started taking those, and then, yeah, I really liked it. So my uncle, God bless him, I told him how much I really liked it, and he lives in Denver. And I was like, there's a big tech scene up there in Denver and Boulder. and there's a couple of boot camps and it would be pretty cool if I could go. So he sent me to this coding boot camp, a 3-month boot camp for Ruby on Rails. And it was good. It was pretty introductory. So I needed more experience after the boot camp. And I started looking for any kind of way that I could get my hands dirty and code and work with people on apps and websites. And let's see, yeah, I volunteered with an organization who, it wasn't like a national organization. I went to a lot of different tech meetups, so like Women in Code. I went to a hackathon. I think I went to a couple of those and just got as much experience as I could. And eventually I met people who were like, hey, I've got this gig. You want to work on it? So I started doing some freelance work and I got involved in UX design. I was doing some like project management and testing. And, you know, the world opened up. The tech world opened up to me. So that was the start. And then I wanted more back-end experience because I said, okay, I understand design. I understand like the Adobe suite. I understand the basics of Ruby on Rails, and I can do some WordPress, but I want to understand algorithms and APIs and more of the tech, more of the heavy engineering stuff. So I found Revelry the day after I got rejected from a job here for a junior engineer position, which was fine. Like I didn't expect to get it because of my lack of experience. But after I was like, you know what? Like, no, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to just take no for an answer. I'm going to find something that works very soon. And within, I think it was that same day, I found the Revelry website and I called Revelry and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in this apprenticeship. And I went in the same day and interviewed and got the apprenticeship. It was great. And yeah, it kind of went from there. So I've been at Revelry for 5.5 years now. And I moved from the apprenticeship into quality assurance because I was really good with testing things at that point from my previous experience, and they needed a quality assurance person in-house. From there, I started doing automated tests and test engineering and, hired a couple of people, taught them how to do test engineering. And then I made a pivot during COVID. So test engineering at Revelry is still very much valued. But we didn't have a need to like specifically resource the test engineer at the time. So I was like, okay, well, I could probably make a shift. Product has always sounded really great to me. And it's felt like I've seen all the product managers do what they do, and I feel like I could do that, and I'm really interested in it. So I was given the opportunity to do product management, and it has gone just swimmingly. Learned a lot on the job, and I think that the test and being in QA for a couple of years before has really helped because every day I was spending time thinking about, well, what would the user do, or what would the user that didn't understand the system do? And it really helped me get into the mindset of users, which is a very important and sometimes hard to find trait in a product manager. So I'm grateful for everything. As it says at the top of this, it was a very unique path. Does anyone have any questions about that path that I took?
Hello, my name is Daniel, and I have a question about your point of when you signed up for the apprenticeship after you got denied your job as a junior engineer.
Yes.
So when you called to apply for the apprenticeship, was there any, or rather, did your coding and knowledge of like uh HTML and CSS, did that come into as a requirement to get the apprenticeship? Or was like any base knowledge that they required for you to join as an apprentice?
Yes, so I had a portfolio of work, of sites that I had worked on. Some of them were Ruby sites, some of them had JavaScript. But yeah, having a portfolio really helped. So I did take the Ruby on Rails bootcamp. So after that, I got experience developing in Ruby, and I made sure to provide access to those sites or screenshots and in-depth explanations of the work that I did on those sites. And if you're interested in an apprenticeship at Revelry for an engineering apprenticeship, there's a job posting that I can share at the end of this that will go into detail.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
I think one of the, for lack of a better word, fears that most people that I have is, not having, it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. If you don't have the experience, you can't make the portfolio and you'd have nothing to show, and you can't prove that you know how to do what you may or may not know how to do, or what you may or may not want to be learning. And so is there any kind of advice that you have, like just, on your own, something that a person could do to show that they have some expertise, create your own portfolio out of thin air, really? You know what I mean? I mean, it's because it's like, every good job or every starting point has that barrier that says, 2 years experience or 3 years experience or whatever. And until you get that break, which, takes a lot of effort and perseverance and all, we know that. But, having that something tangible to show, is there any kind of experience or any kind of, I don't know, approach or strategy you could kind of give and how that could be developed?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for the vulnerability. So I think an apprenticeship is a really, really solid way to approach that, because you get real world experience during an apprenticeship. Not a ton of places offer apprenticeships, but we do have one in town named Revelry that does offer it. So I would definitely look into that if you're local in Louisiana. So this area here, going to tech meetups and talking to people and just networking. Oftentimes tech meetups will work on projects for good. So that's a really good place to start. Start going to your local tech meetup. I think we have, it's been so long. I haven't been back in a couple of years. I think it's called NOLA Tech Meetup. Yeah, but that's a really good place to start. Go network. I know people say network, but like it really is important. Go talk to some people that are in your same shoes or have been. And I would also seek out a mentor. So if there's someone in the industry local to you, and there's someone that you want to learn from or who you admire, I would reach out to that person and say, hey, look, I'm really looking for a mentor. I'm trying to get some experience. I'd love to talk to you about how you started. And yeah, I'd seek out mentorship for your specific fields and get advice on what they did to get started. For me, again, it was going to coding meetups and making friends and getting freelance work, going to hackathons, that's a great place to start, and apprenticeships or internships. Thanks,
Okay,
Michael.
great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's see. We are at 10:45. We've got till 11, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so these are some of my principles when it comes to my career and life in general that I would love to share with you. And we've already kind of touched on some of them from the questions that you've asked. So I truly believe that you should fill your life with the things that you love. As you could see from my career path, I went after things that excited me and looked and continued to work in that direction until opportunities appeared. I think that if you know what you want and you put in the effort, that things will appear for you. And you have to be excited about them, right? You don't want to be like, it's my dog. You don't want to be super bummed about what you're doing and then like, you know, just nothing's gonna flow well if you're not into what you're doing. I think that personal growth and development is very important because when you are self-aware and you know where you need to improve and you're vulnerable with yourself, you know where you stand, that builds strength, it builds character, it builds strong will, and you can then extend those traits to the people that you work with to help them achieve their goals. Finding a mentor. So just what we just covered. So, you know, if there's someone that inspires you in a certain career path, I'll give a good example. I have a great mentor at Revelry, and I've always felt super supported and inspired by them. And they have shaped who I am as a worker and as a person. And it's exactly like what I would want because I trust this person and I admire them. So yeah, do some research. I don't know, go watch some YouTube talks about things about different industries that you love and see who clicks with you. And, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to get in touch with those people. I understand that, but it's worth a try. Sending out an email or seeing if on their website they do consultations, anything like that. It's very important to surround yourself with supportive people, as I was talking about earlier. So when you were asking about fearlessness, Claude, making sure that you have people who are not going to drain you or you know, think that your ideas are stupid. People that look up to people that respect you and want the best for you. You want those people in your life. You want to be around them as much as possible. And also spaces. So Revelry is a great space for growth because of some of the values that we have. And you can go look at them on our website. They're awesome. But we are always looking to grow. For instance, there are processes at Revelry that we follow, but if the process isn't working anymore, we're not just going to stick to the process because it's been predefined. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make it better. So yeah, Revelry is also great with wellness and making sure that we've got a good work-life balance. And that is a really, really important thing to grow, to make sure that you have enough time to do the things that you need to do, you know, not working 70 hours, 60-hour weeks, and ignoring all of your other needs. Another thing is gratitude. So having gratitude, waking up, being thankful for what you do in the morning or like the path that you're on, and respecting where you're at and being grateful for that will take you further than you would think. And who doesn't want to be around someone who's joyful about what they've got going on in their life, right? A big thing for me, because I've suffered with anxiety before, still do, is the gift of patience. So knowing that you have time, you're not, I'm 30, but even if I was like 70 years old, I could still do what I want to do, and I could still be on the path that I want to be on, and I could still be at the beginning, and it would be fine, just as long as I'm on that path and I'm doing the next right thing for that path, whether that's your career or, some kind of hobby, personal growth. And then one of my favorite is there are no fences. So my dad has told me this my whole life. There's no fences, baby. Just knowing that, yeah, you don't need to hold yourself up with some imaginary fence or blocker. You can go as far as you want to go. You're the person that has the power to do that. And my dad likes to say that you're born to do this. So approaching things with that mentality has really, really helped relieve any kind of anxiety or fear I have around situations. And then vulnerability is courage, which we've talked about. The more vulnerable that you are, the more fearless you are, from research. Like, I don't know how exactly she did it, but recommend going to read one of her books. She's got incredible stuff going on. These are mostly just mindset tidbits, but does anyone have any questions or thoughts around this? If you're inspired and on fire and want to talk, feel free.
Yes, Daniel. In what qualities and characteristics, besides the ones that you mentioned earlier, do you enjoy in a fellow team member?
Yeah, great question. Vulnerability is huge. I've said that so many times, but it's true. So being able to communicate clearly while being vulnerable, so we don't throw people under the bus. We're not playing the blame game. It's like, how can the team come together on a certain problem? And if it's just one person that's having this problem, then being honest about how you can move through this, honestly and vulnerably. So honesty, vulnerability, very communicative. I would definitely say motivated and grateful and inspired. Sounds like big shoes, but I promise you it's fun.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think we are about at time. The next thing I'd like to show you, is that we are hiring for PM apprentices. We are also hiring for engineering apprentices. So this QR code will go straight to our product manager apprenticeship job application. So feel free to go and check that out. I can also send over the engineering apprenticeship to Claude, and I'll send you this link as well, so you can share that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Barry. Miranda here. May I ask a question?
Hi, Miranda. Yeah.
Hi. How many candidates are you guys looking for the apprenticeship?
For product management?
Correct.
We usually do cohorts of 3, and those renew every 3 or 4 months. It depends. But we are still currently hiring. I believe we have 2 slots open at the moment.
Okay, so it is kind of like an ongoing program. It sounds like that's where you started with it, that you guys.
I started as an
are doing.
engineer apprentice.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
we actually, this is going to be our first product management apprenticeship cohort starting in end of November, right after Thanksgiving.
Okay, and then my second question to that would be, is this like in-office style work, or is this remote work, hybrid? What is the nature of the apprenticeship in terms of what you're doing?
We are fully remote right now, still during the pandemic. And we've always been a remote company, but we do have an office. So when that's open, it's available to us. So it's hybrid if you want it to be. A lot of people mainly work remote. And we have all
Okay,
the
great.
tools and systems. So it's very integrated.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say, I know we're ending time here. Your talk was great, really inspiring, and I just love the trajectory that you've gone from like service industry to being in a position it sounds like that you're really happy in.
Thanks so much. That means so much, Miranda. I appreciate your feedback.
What kind of time commitment does the apprenticeship require?
It is a full-time role.
Okay. So this would be, is it like, because I mean, I'm taking 5 classes. So how would that kind of, I mean, as an example, how would that kind of mesh?
Yeah, so it's a 36-hour a week commitment. We are flexible on times, but for the most part, we like people to be around 9 Central to 5. However, if you've got a schedule that you need to work around, that, you know, it just need to talk about it and hash it out.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, I'd say unless anyone has any last minute questions, we're kind of at time. I don't want to have to keep you, Mary, longer than schedule allows. So I guess the last minute, you have two minutes left, guys. Any last minute questions for Mary?
Yeah, and feel free to send me questions to my email as well. It's open.
All right. I'm not hearing anyone jumping in. I'm not seeing in the chat besides all the wonderful thank yous to you. So yeah, thank you so much, Mary, for being here. Thank you everyone for attending. As just a little PSA, we're going to keep doing this next year in the next semester. So you just keep an eye on our webpage, dcc.edu/go-it-pro for the next guest speaker. I'll have the recording up soon and email it out to everyone who attended, along with those links to the applications when Mary sends them to me. If any of you guys, want to let us know what you think about, the guest speaking, about, anything about the programs at Delgado, you can feel free to reach out to our department and our department email, which I'll throw in the chat. But besides that, thank you again so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much to Mary for joining us and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.